Crunchyroll anime monopoly. So here we have Crunchyroll Funimation. Why Crunchyroll's anime monopoly might not be a good thing for all fans. Crunchyroll is now the sole legal anime-specific streaming site based in America, and here's why that might not be a good thing, by Christy Gibbs. This is fresh. This is fresh, hot off the presses, coming out 3 hours ago. So we have some questions here right off the bat, right? Obviously, they're saying, oh, it's a monopoly. Little hyperbolic, I think, to say, oh, they're a monopoly. We do have High Dive, who is owned by AMC. So you've got other streaming services. We've got Crunchyroll, we've got High Dive, we have Amazon Prime, as awful as their interface is. We have Netflix. So from a judicial standpoint, I guess you could say, from a legal standpoint, we don't have a monopoly as far as that's considered. The idea that being an anime-specific streaming site in America, I don't know that that's true either, because High Dive is headquartered in Texas. So you specifically have High Dive, who is the other competitor, who right now is also they've got your boy Kong Ming that's being hit as far as being one of the, or being touted as a really great comedy. We've got Executioner that is coming out this season. We've got some stuff that are a reason to get a High Dive account. So High Dive is stepped up as far as people want to see stuff. 300,000 users estimated right now. So I don't think we see this specifically as a monopoly. So I'm curious where this article is going to go as far as how are they going to define a monopoly, and what does that mean? The question always is, how does distribution help the product continue to be made? If you don't watch a product, in the old days, it was the show would get released, the show would get licensed, then the show would get distributed. And so the licensing and distribution would occur, and then you would buy the DVDs or you'd rent them, and in some form or fashion, you acquiring each show or watching each show would send money to the licensor, who then had paid money to the creator, right? And so you have this sort of ladder of money where everybody throws money up, hoping they'll get more money as they turn around and pass it off to the next person. And that's sort of that distribution system from the artist, the director, the studio, to you who actually has to watch it. Now, there's not specifically a monetary correlation to me watching a show. Now, there is a monetary correlation to me watching something on, say, YouTube, for example. If I watch something on YouTube, I'm creating advertiser hours that YouTube can then sell to advertisers. And actually, there's a direct, if you watch something more, you can get more income from more people watching things, right? So those things that are watched more become more valuable. Something like a Crunchyroll, something like a Netflix, something like an Amazon Prime, there is no real correlation to me watching the thing and them making money. They only make money because I have an account that I'm paying for, and every month they get money from that. And I can watch as much or as little as I want. Now, you do see the changes where Netflix, for example, a while back changed it so that, you wanted the higher res stuff, you had to pay more. You wanted to see on more devices, you had to pay more. So they sort of added these extra gatekeeping levels to how much data is getting pulled out of their servers that they're having to pay for. And then I believe there was a new announcement, I haven't really looked into it yet, where Netflix might actually switch to a commercial model where there would be ads that play when you're watching it. And I believe there is a free Crunchyroll model wherein ads are played kind of throughout your video. However, back before I paid for Crunchyroll, I remember the advertisements all being for Crunchyroll. So maybe that was before they had enough clout to really get other advertisers. But I remember seeing a commercial for Yana of the Dawn over and over and over again. But let's see. Let's break down specifically into the Funimation Crunchyroll merger. And the other thing to remember about all this, Sony owns both Funimation and Crunchyroll. So yes, they're separate companies. Yes, they are different LLCs or however they're probably set up as LLCs most likely, as opposed to just corporations. But they're both under the same umbrella of Sony Pictures. So it's not it's an interesting sort of merger, because it's more just like, all right, you two departments are getting connected, but on the legal side of things, they are very much so separate. The recent mega merger. Now, yes, it's a big merger, I guess, but it's not like it's a mega merger. It's not like we're talking about like Fox merging with CNN or something like that. Of Funimation with Crunchyroll under the ownership of Sony Pictures has meant that Crunchyroll is now by far the largest anime licensed streaming service for Western fans, compared to the likes of Hulu or Netflix, each of which has somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 300 anime titles. Crunchyroll has around 1,300 individual titles available. Okay, so there's our first question. How many titles? How many anime on HiDive? Not best. How many? How many? How many? HiDive, you tell me how many you have. I know you have 300,000 users. I will accept your cookies. Where can I find... Well, excuse me. All right, here's what I'm going to do. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 25. And then that's another 25. So we're probably into the 600s with everything that's available on HiDive. So HiDive probably should be the comparison there. I don't think we should be comparing to Hulu or Netflix, when Hulu's anime all came from Funimation essentially, and Netflix, they only get a couple shows that they really care about, because the majority of Netflix's user base is not watching anime. The majority of them are watching Love on the Spectrum, which they should be. Yeah, okay, interesting. So 1,300 individual titles. In many ways, Funimation's merger can be considered quite convenient. After all, why search on and pay for two separate services when you can pay for only one that contains most of the same titles? On the other hand, is having such an unified anime subscription experience inherently a good thing? Or are there some potential downsides to consider? That is the question. Oh, a related article. We can watch that later, or read that later. While many anime viewers are no doubt happy at the prospect of simplifying their online anime library and possibly paying for one less streaming service than before, not everything about this move will have a positive impact on other fans. especially as it means that Crunchyroll is now the sole legal anime-specific streaming site based in America. Does this person not know about High Dive? Like, maybe they don't. One of the most immediate concerns has been that not all titles previously available on Funimation will be moved to Crunchyroll. While reportedly about 80% of Funimation's content was supposed to be transferred by the end of March 2022, this still leaves a number of shows and/or specific show language formats out in the cold. For instance, Crunchyroll's own forums have seen fan complaints about the likes of completely missing titles such as Serial Experiments Lane and Baka and Test, which is a great show, or titles that are available to watch with subtitles but not dubbed into English, One Piece, Bleach, Dragon Ball Super. Yep. There's also the matter of cost to take into account. Funimation's subscription plans were $5.99 per month for Premium, or $7.99 for Preem Plus. In contrast, Crunchyroll, which immediately ended its free ad-supported... they ended it. Interesting. For new and continuing series after the merge is more expensive. Subscribers pay a minimum of $8 per month fan plan and $15 per month Ultimate Fan. While Crunchyroll's own pricing plan has not yet changed as a result of the merger, not all fans have the spare cash to pay regardless. I get it. This point is an important one, as it's about far more than simply a few disgruntled fans having to shell out an extra $20 to $30 a year if they want to access the same category of titles previously offered by Funimation. Looking at the bigger picture, this will more than likely drive at least some viewers to stream outside of what's legally available to them. Dun, 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 dun. This may not be a great for Crunchyroll, but it's worse for the anime industry as a whole, which is already notorious for its issues regarding piracy. Bum bum bada bum bum bada bum bum bada bada bum. Accessibility is particular an issue for fans living outside of the US and English-speaking world, most notably for those living in regions such as Africa and Asia. This is a problem that Funimation's merger with Crunchyroll will more likely exacerbate, and not only because of the aforementioned cost increase. Crunchyroll serves a lot of countries, but plenty of others are left out, either in part or entirely due to licensing issues. Western fans living in Japan, for instance, are ironically unable to access Crunchyroll at all. True! And this has been a years-long problem. My wife and I were on vacation in Japan, and we were basically done exploring for the day, and we were back at our hotel, and it wasn't quite time for bed, and we didn't have anything else to do, and so we were like, hey, let's watch a show, and we pulled up Crunchyroll, and it's like not available in your country, and I was like, what are you talking about? How can you not be available in Japan? This is the place where the anime is. And then Netflix over there didn't have an English subtitle on anything, so that was a fun time. Very fun. It's also impossible to access part or all of Crunchyroll's catalog in the likes of China, Australia, New Zealand, and most countries in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, and not everyone has the money or know-how to install VPNs, which are either illegal or use or simply blocked in Iraq, Iran, China, and Russia, among other countries. In short, and unsurprisingly, Funimation's merge with Crunchyroll only reinforces the notion that commercial monopolies aren't necessarily a good thing for consumers, especially in the long term. Healthy competition typically drives improved services, whereas a lack of competition frequently results in less accessibility and higher costs. This move may not negatively impact everyone, but people living outside of the US and or who have little or no source of income might not be as lucky, potentially heightening the already numerous problems the anime industry is facing regarding piracy. Christy Gibbs, CBR editor, and anime aficionado with a penchant for slice of life stories of josei mangas. In his spare time, she enjoys reading, writing, and travel. Alright. Let's go back to the ladder of money. Talking about that ladder of anime money. Let's see. How do anime studios make money? Oh, this will be good. This will be good. So I'm gonna talk about what I think, and then let's get into this. Studio, the artists, the people that are actually creating and putting together the anime. They're doing the original voice actors. They're doing all of the storyboarding. They're putting together the actual show. Are paid by the producer. The producer is the one who says, this story, this thing is going to make money. Here's money for you to make it. And then I'm going to go make sure that it makes money in theater, in release, however the producer wants to make money. Producer has a number of avenues for them to make money with. The producer will sell the license. So they will say, hey, Crunchyroll or Netflix or High Dive, you want to show this show. This is the greatest show you've ever seen. This show is the show that makes other shows look like not shows. That's how good it is. Give me money and I will let you be the one who gets this show and gets to show this show in your country. And that license to be able to show the show costs X amount of dollars. You can also purchase the merchandising rights along with that license, wherein you will get the show and you also get the rights in that country or specific areas to then sell the stuff associated with it. So if anybody wants to purchase a doll or a pillow or the whatever it may be, you can have the rights to sell those, and so you get your margin off those sales as well. For Netflix, for Crunchyroll, for High Dive, for any of these companies, they are paying for these licenses to be the one that shows this so that you will come give them money. And you will say, I'm going to keep my subscription. You know, I was thinking about getting rid of my Netflix subscription. Said no one ever. But because they got this show, I'm gonna keep them around. Or Crunchyroll. You know, I was thinking of dropping my Crunchyroll subscription, but you know what? They got that new pirate anime, and I want to watch it. So you keep your subscription. So their goal is to get you to either maintain your subscription or find a friend that you tell that will then pick up the subscription so that you can watch it. For example, I'm looking at picking up High Dive so I can watch Kong Ming and Executioner legally stream it. So that's the main way those producers are going to make money. They can also, of course, release on or sell the local license to like anime TV channels in Japan. And then they can sell the merchandise, the DVDs, the physical media. And like I said, they can license that internationally so they don't have to worry about that. They just sell a crap ton of stuff to one company, and then they can do with it what they want. And then they can focus on the local markets. And that's sort of like where your producer's going to make money. Now, in the modern era, you will notice that I said nothing about you watching the show, making the show any money. You watching a show on Crunchyroll or High Dive or Netflix doesn't make Netflix, High Dive, Crunchyroll any money. In fact, it costs them money. They would rather, they're a gym, right? You pay them every month to be able to use their facility, to use their data. And if you don't show up and don't use the facility, you don't wear down the facility at the gym. The gym loves it when you buy a membership and never show up, because then you're not going to wear down their equipment and cost them to have people cleaning the place, repairing equipment, restocking the bathrooms, all the stuff that goes along with that. They don't have to pay for. Same thing with streaming. They pay for every amount of data that leaves the servers that they're paying to host their stuff on. So the less we watch, the more they make. All they want is that subscription. They want to keep that subscription, or they want to get more subscriptions. They do not care if you watch a show until you get into the marketing aspect of things. You watch a show, you like the show, you think the characters are cool, and then you go on Crunchyroll's website and you see a poster for one of the characters. You say, you know what? I like this show. I want to put it up on my wall. And you buy that poster. Suddenly you've spent money because you did watch the show. So the shows function as marketing. Marketing, advertising, costs companies money. It's the same exact thing. Company pays to put their ads somewhere. They then are hoping that you'll pay them more money than they paid to get the ad out there. Or collectively, the customer base will pay more money than it costs to get that ad out there. So they're hoping that the amount that they're bringing in through the subscriptions and through the merchandise is going to outweigh what it costs them to host it, plus what they had to pay for the license just to get it in the first place. But you specifically watching something doesn't affect like their actual bottom line meaningfully, because like I said, it does cost money for them to have the servers and to be transmitting the data across the server. But we're talking fractions on their overall profit and loss statements. I'm sure if it's not, $200 per million views of a 1 hour show, then I don't know, like that's the kind of deal I could negotiate with an Amazon Web Service. So they've got to be getting way better than that as far as things are considered. So real quick, let's take a look here at this article on where studios get their money. And I skipped a whole bunch of like how much it costs studios to make shows. Home video is still vital for animation studios. Production committees and studios will rarely, if ever, comment on revenue splits. But it's been implied that home video is extremely important for an anime studio's bottom line. Probably because the studio is getting a what do you call it? Like a royalty, basically. So for every disc of this show that this studio made, you're going to get X amount of cash. Question, of course, is does that actually go to anything else? Digital sales of anime series are also down, highlighting the fans don't feel the need to own their favorite anime. Goes to international licensing. It tends to clash with the international fans don't matter narrative that people love to peddle, but international licensing has become lifeblood of anime. In 2015, licensing was the second largest revenue stream for the industry. This includes legal streaming and purchasing localized home video releases. Licensors, okay, so the DVDs you buy from Funimation and Crunchyroll are part of this licensing cost that's going to pay for the studios, which is paid whether or not you watch the show. Licensors don't report the revenue splits, of course they don't, but a portion of it goes back to the animation studios. Other revenue streams for studios include studios, of course, getting some sort of cut from every show that is sold. Piracy isn't a zero-sum issue that can be easily solved. In fact, various academic studios from independent agencies have found that piracy has a minuscule effect on sales numbers for most industries, since not all revenue streams can be pirated. However, academics do agree that piracy hurts some home video sales, which is what studios rely on. The availability of pirated streams or torrents also hurts legal streaming services due to a price advantage, as most people will choose free instead of paying. The issue is trying to place a real sticker price on the damages, which is covered in a TED Talk about music piracy. It's incredibly simplistic to boil down piracy, since there are a lot of uncontrollable variables, such as assuming all pirates are potential customers and regional availability, and that's why it's hard to tell. And the fact that they're not profiting. Okay. Again, really, really hard to sell me on the idea that, for example, you pay for Netflix, but you can't watch Komi-san. You're going to pay for Netflix no matter what. Why don't you get to watch Komi-san?